They say trust is the foundation of any relationship. But what happens when the one person you trusted most turns out to be the master of deception? I still remember the night it all began to unravel. It was a Thursday evening, nothing out of the ordinary. I had just put dinner on the stove when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Nathan, my boyfriend of 4 years. Helping a friend move. Might be late tonight, don't wait up. Simple, harmless. At least that's what it looked like on the surface, but something about it didn't sit right. Maybe it was the vagueness, maybe it was how cold it sounded, or maybe it was just intuition, that deep, unexplainable whisper in your gut that tells you something's off. I tried to brush it off, told myself I was overthinking. I even replied with, "No problem, stay safe, love you." He didn't respond, and that was the moment the silence started screaming. Nathan had always been charismatic, dependable, the kind of guy who opened jars and held your hand in public. Our friends said we were solid, that we balanced each other. I had believed that. I had believed him, every word, every excuse, every promise. But that night, as I sat at the dinner table alone, staring at 2 plates of untouched pasta, something inside me cracked. I opened his location on my phone, a feature we had both agreed to share early in the relationship for safety. It showed he was 25 minutes away, in a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Not even close to where his supposed friend lived. Still, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were grabbing dinner? Maybe there was a change of plans? But I couldn't shake the unease. So I called. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. By 11 p.m., my heart was pounding. I was no longer curious. I was panicking. I grabbed my keys, jumped in the car, and drove. Not even sure what I was looking for. Maybe clarity, maybe the truth, maybe just confirmation that I wasn't losing my mind. When I pulled up to the address on his location, my hands were trembling. It was a small house, porch light on, a silver car in the driveway. His car. I sat there for a while, hidden behind the wheel, watching. Then I saw her. Her name was Kayla. I recognized her instantly from social media. One of those women who liked too many of his posts and left flirty comments he always claimed were just friendly. She stepped out onto the porch in a silk robe, barefoot, laughing into her phone. And then I saw him. Nathan, shirt half-buttoned, carrying a takeout bag like he'd just brought her dinner. He kissed her cheek. My entire body went numb. Everything. After that felt like slow motion. I backed the car away quietly. No confrontation, no screaming. I didn't even cry, at least not until I got home and shut the door behind me. I slid to the floor of our apartment and let it all pour out, the disbelief, the heartbreak, the humiliation. He wasn't helping a friend. He was helping himself, to someone else. And he had looked me in the eye that very morning and said, "I love you." That was the night the old version of me died. The trusting girlfriend, the fool. What Nathan didn't know, and what Kayla surely didn't expect, was that I wasn't going to be quiet. I wasn't going to beg or plead. No. I was going to expose them. I was going to burn the whole lie down, brick by brick. And when I was finished, everyone would know exactly who Nathan really was. The morning after I saw them together, I didn't say a word. Not because I forgave him. Not because I was scared. But because I needed clarity. I needed to see how deep the betrayal went before I made my move. And more importantly, I needed to see how long he'd keep lying to my... Big said he came home around 7 a.m., acting like nothing had happened. He smelled like someone else's perfume, but he kissed my forehead, dropped his bag by the door, and said, "You're up early." I stared at him, heart pounding. "Couldn't sleep," I replied, my voice steady. He nodded, heading straight. To the shower, the audacity, the complete lack of remorse. That's when I knew. This wasn't a one-time slip. It wasn't some heat-of-the-moment mistake. Nathan was deep in it, and he had been for a while. Over the next few days, I began to piece it together. The signs were everywhere. I just hadn't wanted to see them before. The random work emergencies that had him leaving at night, the weekends suddenly filled with plans with the guys. The sudden change in passwords, the secretive way he kept his phone screen tilted away from me. I remembered a specific moment a month ago. He had gotten a text from Kayla while we were watching a movie. I caught a glimpse. "Can't wait for tomorrow, handsome." He laughed it off, said it was an inside joke from college, that they were old friends who just talked trash like that, and I, like a fool, believed him. But now, everything was clicking into place like a jigsaw puzzle I had been too blind to finish. The nights alone, the emotional distance, the defensiveness. He had been gaslighting me for months, turning my instincts against me. Worse than the betrayal was the disrespect, the insult to my intelligence. He thought he was so clever, so untouchable, that he could live this double life and I'd never notice. But I had noticed. And now I was done pretending. I started digging, quietly, carefully. I searched through shared emails. He had forgotten that he once synced our Gmail accounts for calendar planning. I went through his messages, his deleted drafts, his cloud storage. What I found made me physically sick. There were reservations, hotels he never told me about, payments to florists and jewelry stores on days we weren't even together, screenshots of conversations with Kayla, the way he spoke to her, calling her his escape, the one who made him feel alive, all while sleeping in my bed and calling me his home. Every file I opened was another slap to the face, but I kept going. I needed the pain to become fuel. And then I found the final straw, a shared Dropbox folder, full of pictures, of them, trips I never knew about. A weekend in a cabin with the guys was actually a romantic getaway in the mountains with her. There was even a video, Nathan dancing with her in front of a fireplace, laughing like a man without guilt. That's when the heartbreak transformed into rage. He had built a relationship with her while still reaping the benefits of being with me. I paid half the rent. I supported him during his job change. I helped him rebuild his credit. I gave him my loyalty, my trust, and years of my life. And what did he give me in return? Lies, manipulation, a carefully curated illusion. But illusions can't survive the truth, and I was about to pull back the curtain. He didn't know it yet, but the clock had started ticking. I wasn't going to confront him yet, not directly. No, that would give him a chance to lie again, to twist things, to weasel out of it like he always did. This time, I was going to collect every piece of evidence. I was going to build my case like a prosecutor. And when the time came, I'd let the truth speak for itself, loudly, publicly, and without mercy. Let him pretend a little longer. He thought he was in control. But the reality? He had no idea what was coming. People talk about heartbreak like it's just sadness, like it's crying in your bed for a week and eventually moving on. But betrayal, real betrayal, rips something deeper. It doesn't just hurt you. It changes you. When I first met Nathan, I was rebuilding my life. I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, had moved to a new city, and was trying to stand on my own 2 feet again. Nathan came into my life like calm after a storm. He listened, encouraged me, made me feel safe, or so I thought. We built everything together, piece by piece. We signed a lease, we split bills, we even opened a joint account last year to save for a house. I helped him through unemployment, loaned him money when his credit card debt caught up to him, and stood by him when he swore he'd turn things around. But all that time he was building a second life. With her. It wasn't just emotional betrayal, it was practical sabotage. I had invested in us. Time, money, love, trust. And now, not only was he cheating, he was likely funneling money and time into someone else while using me for stability. I sat down with our financial documents one afternoon, quiet, methodical, and what I found only confirmed what I feared. He had transferred $800 from our joint savings to his personal account 2 weeks ago. That wasn't for helping a friend. That was a weekend getaway with Kayla. He was stealing from me, using what we built together to impress her. And while I was budgeting for groceries and making sure our rent was covered, he was out buying her gifts. That wasn't just betrayal, it was theft. And it wasn't just about me anymore. I had goals, real tangible plans for the future. I had sacrificed vacations, nights out, and new clothes to save for our future. My career was finally gaining traction. I had just been offered a promotion, more hours, more responsibility. And I had turned it down just last month because Nathan said he missed us not having time together. Meanwhile, he was using that extra time to sneak around with her. That's when I realized it wasn't just about cheating. It was about control. He had managed to weave himself so tightly into my life that pulling away would be painful. He had me emotionally tied, financially linked, and mentally second-guessing myself at every turn. And now, with everything I'd discovered, I saw the bigger picture. He never intended to choose me. He intended to use me until I was no longer convenient. He thought I would just crumble when he walked away, that I would fade into the background like an old chapter while he moved on without consequences. But he underestimated one very important thing: how dangerous a woman becomes when she has nothing left to lose. This mattered not just because he broke my heart. It mattered because he thought I wouldn't fight back, because he thought his lies made him untouchable, because he assumed he could quietly disappear into someone else's arms and leave me carrying the weight of his mess. But I wasn't going to be the silent, bitter ex-girlfriend. I was going to be the storm he never saw coming. I started writing everything down: dates, amounts, messages, screenshots. I contacted my bank, started separating my accounts, locked down anything that tied us together financially. I checked the lease. Thankfully, it was under my name only. And while he was busy building fantasies, I was preparing reality. A reality where I didn't just walk away quietly. A reality where he would be seen for what he really was, not just by me, but by everyone who thought he was this charming golden boy: friends, family, colleagues. He had constructed a facade so carefully, but all it would take was one well-placed match to burn it to the ground, and I was holding the match. By the time I finished gathering everything, I had a digital war chest: emails, screenshots, bank statements, voice notes, photos. Every thread of deception Nathan had spun, I had it in my hands. But collecting proof was just the beginning. Now came the hard part: deciding how to use it. I didn't want revenge that made me look unhinged. I didn't want to scream or beg or throw his things out the window in a dramatic fit. No, I wanted this to be surgical. I wanted it to be clean, undeniable, and irreversible. I wanted him to lose control, just like he had taken it from me. So I built my plan in 3 parts. Step 1, secure my future. I went to our bank and removed my name from the joint account after transferring my share out. I froze any cards he might have access to, changed all my passwords, and moved my direct deposit to a new bank. I even called the landlord and gave notice. Since the lease was in my name, I legally had full control. I found a new apartment, smaller, cozier, and entirely mine. A fresh start. I waited until he was at work one day, most likely actually with her, and packed everything of value. Anything I had bought or paid for, I took. Everything else, I left behind in a tidy pile with a note that said, "She can have what's left. I'm taking what's mine." Step 2. Expose him privately, but effectively. Public drama wasn't my style, but I didn't want to keep this to myself either. Nathan had made me look like a fool for months, pretending to be the perfect boyfriend while having an affair right under my nose. So I created a private email. One I could send from anonymously. To his parents, to his sister, to his boss, to a few of our mutual friends, the ones who always talked about how lucky I was to have him. I kept it short, professional, attaching screenshots and one damning photo: him kissing Kayla on her porch. The timestamp was clear, the GPS metadata embedded in the image. The subject line read, "Just so you know who he really is." I didn't have to write anything else. The evidence spoke volumes. Step 3, the final reveal. Kayla. I could have gone after her, messaged her, confronted her, but I had a better idea. I made a small fake profile, just enough to observe, not interact. I followed her page, which was public, and watched as she posted a picture of her and Nathan the following weekend. A cheesy caption like, "Finally got what I deserve." And that's when I saw it. A comment from one of her friends. "Wait, isn't he still with his girlfriend?" Boom. The door was cracked, so I opened it. I messaged that friend anonymously and sent a few screenshots, along with a quiet request. Just make sure she knows. I didn't need to watch what happened next. The ripple effect would do the job for me. Nathan would walk into Kayla's arms thinking he was home free, only to be met with questions, accusations, and doubt. And when he tried to spin it, the truth would already be out there, impossible to undo. I wanted to make him feel exactly what I had felt: exposed, small, powerless. But here's the part that mattered most. I never once raised my voice. I never stooped to his level. I stayed calm, calculated, controlled, because I wasn't doing this out of bitterness. I was doing it out of clarity. He had chosen his path. I was simply helping him walk it, with the whole world watching. And with each move I made, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: power, confidence, peace. The plan was in motion. Now it was only a matter of time. With the plan in place, all that remained was execution. Every step had to be methodical. No confrontation, no chaos. I wanted the truth to do all the damage for me, and it started with the small things, subtle, quiet shifts that he wouldn't notice until it was far too late. 1. The digital lockdown. The first thing I did was cut off his access to anything remotely tied to me. I changed the passwords to my email, streaming services, shopping accounts, even the Wi-Fi in the apartment. I didn't make a big show of it. I just quietly vanished from the shared digital space we'd created. Then I went deeper. I enabled two-factor authentication on everything, set up new security questions, and made sure he couldn't use my old information to weasel back in. I ordered a credit report and put a fraud alert on my accounts, just in case. I knew Nathan. If things turned messy, he might try to retaliate by doing something underhanded. I wasn't going to leave any doors open. The financial split. The joint account was already dealt with, but I went further. I pulled every financial record we'd shared over the last 2 years. I highlighted every transaction I could prove. He used for her gifts, hotels, dinners. I created a spreadsheet with dates, amounts, receipts. Then I sent him a message. You have 10 days to pay back your half of what you used from the joint account for non-shared expenses. If not, I'll be forwarding this to a small claims attorney. This isn't about emotion. It's business. He didn't reply, but the money appeared in my account 3 days later. The quiet exit. While he was out one weekend, I moved the last of my things to my new apartment. My name was on the lease, so I informed the landlord I'd be terminating it early and handling the fees myself. Then I left the keys on the kitchen table and walked out for the last time. No note, no goodbye. Just freedom. The social reversal. This was where the public reckoning began. I didn't rant on Facebook or post a breakup tirade. I just quietly changed my relationship status, deleted the pictures of us, and archived the posts that tied me to him. Within hours, messages started rolling in from mutual friends. Hey, what happened? Are you okay? I saw Kayla post something weird. I gave them nothing. Just a short response. Ask Nathan. And that was all it took. Curiosity became suspicion, and when people started connecting the dots and saw the screenshots that had quietly circulated, they knew some friends dropped him. Others just stopped responding to him, and one of his closest buddies messaged me to say, "You didn't deserve any of that. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Ciao. Reclaiming the narrative. I didn't just want him to lose the lie. I wanted to reclaim my truth. So I did something bold. I booked a photo shoot. Nothing extravagant, just clean, professional shots of me in my new space. Confident, rebuilt. I posted a single photo with a caption that said, "Turns out when you drop the weight of betrayal, you rise a little higher." No names, no drama. But the message was clear. People noticed, the likes rolled in, and Nathan, he stayed silent. Because what could he say? He couldn't spin this, not anymore. The last thread. I left one piece dangling, just to see if he'd tug it. I logged into the old shared calendar one last time and set a single event for the following weekend. Reminder. She knows. That was the final message. The last trace. And then I deleted the account. Nathan had been so sure he had me wrapped around his finger that I'd scream, cry, beg him to stay. Instead, I dismantled everything he built with the quiet grace of someone who knew their worth. And as I checked off each item on my list, I didn't just feel justice, I felt reborn. The war was quiet, but it was mine. And I had won every battle. The funny thing about truth is, it doesn't need to shout. It just waits, silent, heavy, and when it lands hard. The final confrontation wasn't what most people might imagine. No dramatic shouting in a coffee shop, no broken plates, no tearful goodbye on a rainy street. It was much colder than that. It came in the form of a message from Nathan, 3 weeks after I disappeared from his life. "Can we talk?" I stared at my screen unmoved. The audacity was almost impressive. After months of deceit, theft, and betrayal, he still thought he could walk back in like nothing happened. Like I owed him closure. But I didn't respond. Instead, I waited. A few hours later, he showed up at my new place. I hadn't given him the address. He must have asked someone, or maybe followed one of the photos I'd posted and pieced it together. Either way, I heard the knock, looked through the peephole, and there he was. Nathan. Same smug face, only now it was cracked with panic. I opened the door just wide enough to be heard. "Whatever you think you're here for, you're not getting it," I said. "I just want to talk, please. Everything's been blowing up. Kayla's mad. My parents won't even answer my calls. What did you do?" I smiled, not kindly. "I just told the truth." He stood there, stunned, like it had never once occurred to him that the truth would be enough to ruin him. He tried to push forward. "You're making this worse than it had to be." "No," I interrupted. "You made it worse. When you cheated, when you lied, when you took money from our joint account to fund your secret life. I didn't create this mess, Nathan. You did." He looked down, swallowed hard. "It didn't mean anything. Kayla was just—" "I don't care," I snapped, sharp and steady. "I don't care what she was. I care that you disrespected me, that you used me, that you made me question myself for months while you were playing both sides." He didn't speak, couldn't. I continued. "You don't get a second chance. You don't get forgiveness. You don't even get closure. This conversation, this is me giving you the last thing you'll ever hear from me." He looked like he wanted to argue, but he knew better. I closed the door, and just like that, he was gone. I stood there for a moment, heart racing, not with pain, but with power. For the first time in a long time, I felt light, like I had dropped a weight I'd been carrying for years. The fallout came fast. From what I heard through mutual acquaintances, Kayla dumped him, publicly and viciously. She found out he had lied to her too, spun tales about me, told her we were already broken up when they started seeing each other. He tried to salvage it, but the screenshots I'd shared had spread farther than he'd anticipated. His work found out. Nothing illegal had happened, but they encouraged him to take time off. Translation: he was quietly let go before the scandal hit their reputation. Friends distanced themselves. His own sister sent me a message. "I'm so sorry. You deserved so much better. We believed him, and we were wrong." But the best part? Didn't have to scream. I didn't have to break down. I just exposed the truth, and let karma do the rest. I started over, in a place that was mine, with peace in my home, clarity in my heart, and no trace of him anywhere near my life. The woman who had once cried over broken promises now stood taller, because she had taken the worst betrayal and turned it into the greatest comeback. Nathan thought he was untouchable. He thought I would stay quiet. But I made sure his lies came back to haunt him, loudly, clearly, and permanently. And in the end, I didn't just walk away. I rose.